Hello everyone, myself Karti Roy, Assistant Professor of Electrical Engineering Department of JIS College of Engineering that is situated Kalyani Nadia of West Bengal. In this pandemic situation of COVID-19, I think all of you are quite well and safe. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on illumination engineering. The subject code of this illumination engineering is EE7026 and the credit is 4. Generally, this subject is taught in the seventh semester of final year BTech in electrical engineering syllabus. So before we start our topics, these are the prerequisites, that is knowledge of optics and light sources and wiring, switching and control circuit. Basically, this illumination engineering subject is based on the physics of the light. Next, fourth objective. The need of good illumination, define good illumination, and utility and conservation of electrical energy, which is very important nowadays. All of us is very much interested and wanted about the outcome-based learning. So this course has also some outcomes, that is understand the good need for good illumination and learning physics behind various luminous sources and other terms and also units, apply the laws of illumination, understand the measurement of light by using photometry, analyze the working principle of various electric light sources and their operating characteristics, and student will be able to design the lighting calculations, design of energy efficient lighting system for energy conservation and maintenance of lighting system. Now, today's overview are light and radiation, eye and vision, concept of brightness and contrast. So before we start the topics, first of all we should know what is illumination and what is illumination engineering. Basically, when light falls on a subject, it becomes visible and we can recognize the object, we can recognize by its shape, its color, and we can visualize its identity. That is called the illumination actually. Illumination is the deliberate use of light to achieve practical or aesthetics effect. Proper lighting can enhance task performance, improve the appearance of any area, and also have positive psychological effects on occupants. Now, what is illumination engineering? It is a field that spans many topics, including the development of sources, design of luminaries, measurement of lighting conditions, and machine vision, and also lighting design of indoor and outdoors. So, first of all, what is light? Because without light, we cannot think about illumination and also illumination engineering. Sun is the main source of light. According to the Illumination Engineering Society of North America, radiant energy that is capable of exciting the retina and producing a visual sensation, that is called light. It is a very natural phenomenon which is very vital for our existence. In the ancient age, all human activities are coordinated with sunrise and sunset. But today, all human activities are carried out round the clock. This is only possible for artificial light. And nowadays, we cannot go without artificial light. Artificial light has to be planned, optimized. At the same time, we should minimize the utilization of available resources, because we know that renewable energy are very important in our life, because non-renewable energy sources are very limited. Now, spectrum of light. So in this figure, we can see that the wavelengths are there. Some wavelengths are there, okay? And the spectrums of light are divided into some waves. So first of all, when light enters in a prism and it is split into some different colors, that is called VIBGYO: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. In between this range, that is 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer, this is called visible spectrum. That means human eye can visualize anything in between this spectrum, 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. Next, we can see ultraviolet radiation. Ultraviolet radiation has the shorter wavelength than the visible spectrum and also another shorter wavelength than visible spectrum are X-ray, gamma ray, cosmic rays. Similarly, infrared, microwaves, radio waves, these are the longer wavelengths than the visible spectrum. So from 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer, we can see the color bands of electromagnetic spectrum. In our human eye, there are two types of photoreceptors, that is called cone and rod. This rod cell and cone cell convert radiation within this range into signal to the brain. Now ultraviolet ray. Ultraviolet ray has three types. One is UVA. The range is 400 nanometer to 315 nanometer. Another one is UVB, that is 315 nanometer to 280 nanometer. It is effectively the most destructive and it penetrates the atmosphere and can injure biological tissues. Another one is UVC, that is 280 nanometer to 100 nanometer, the range of UVC. And it would cause more injury, but it is absorbed by the air, so it is almost never reaches in the earth's surface. Another radiation, that is infrared radiation, which has slightly longer wavelength than visible spectrum. It has also three types. Number one is IRA, infrared A, IRB, IRC, and the ranges are gradually 780 to 400, 1400 nanometer, 1400 to 3000 nanometer, 3000 to 1 lakh nanometer. Now solar radiation. Solar radiation basically at the Earth's surface is composed the components, that is diffuse and direct. Where sunlight directly falls on the surface and after that it is reflected, when we can say that the angle of falling and angle of reflection are equal. And another one is diffuse reflection. Diffuse reflection means when light falls on the surface and after that it is scattered. That is called diffuse reflection. And another one is direct reflection. So diffuse and direct irradiance occur due to different sky condition. Now we can see that the sum of diffuse and direct irradiance is equal to total irradiance. Under complete overcast condition, diffuse component is equal to total irradiance, while under very clear sky conditions, the diffuse component is approximately 10% or less of the total radiance. And from this concept, we can get a ratio which is called as cloud ratio, that is equal to diffuse irradiance by total irradiance, and it is denoted as ID by IT. Next part is human eye as an optical system. So without eye, you cannot visualize anything. So it is a very important part. This is the anatomy of the eye, human eye. So here you can see light first enters the eye through the cornea, the clear front window of the eye. The cornea's refractive power bends the light rays in such a way that they pass freely through the pupil and opening in the center of the iris through which light enters the eye. So first light enters through the cornea. After that, this part is called as aqueous humor. Next, iris. Iris works like a shutter in a camera. It has ability to expand and contract, and it depends on how much light is entering in the eye. After passing through the iris, the light rays pass through the lens, crystal clear lens. Okay. This clear flexible structure works like the lens, and it can shortening and lengthening its weight in order to focus light rays properly. The cornea is very clear and transparent front covering which admits light and begins the refractive process. It also keeps foreign particles from entering the eye. After that, light entered in the vitreous body, which is filled with vitreous humor. A jelly-like material is present that is named as vitreous humor. And after that, it passing through the retina. In retina, a image is inverted, but by using the optic nerve, by using the optic nerve, an image can be converted, and after that we can see or visualize any object. That means optic nerve send a impulse on the brain by which we can visualize anything. The retina receives the image that cornea focuses through the eye's internal lens and transforms this image into electrical impulses that are carried by the optic nerve to the brain. And in retina, there is two types of cells which are called as cone cell and rod cell. Cone cell are basically responsible for color discrimination, and rod cell are responsible for gray appearance or black and white appearance. There is another point that is called fovea. Fovea. Here, cone cells are present, much more present than the rod cell. Next, visibility. The term visibility of an object is used as a measure of fastness and precision. An object may be detected and also recognized. To define visibility, the case of a perfectly black object being viewed against a perfect white background is examined. The visual contrast at a distance x from the black object is defined as the relative difference between the light intensity of the background and the object, where f be x equal to intensity of the background and f of x equal to intensity of the object. And by this formula, we can get the visual contrast, that is denoted as CVX. Next, types of vision. There are three types of vision: photopic vision, scotopic vision, and mesopic vision. So in photopic vision, at higher light levels, which are sufficient for substantially exciting the cone receptors, their outputs are used for color vision and also for the determination of apparent brightness. Photopic vision range is 3 candela per meter square. Basically, in photopic vision, cone cells are responsible, by which we can see any color object, or we can visualize any color object. Next, scotopic vision. The rods containing rhodopsin photoreceptor, that means the rod cell, that are substantially more light sensitive than the cones and are therefore used for vision at low light levels. That means in case of black and white object or appearance, scotopic visions are responsible. And that mode of vision is called as scotopic vision. In this mode, objects are perceived as gray. Scotopic vision range is 0.01 candela per meter square. So in between photopic and scotopic vision, there is another vision called as mesopic vision. It is combination of photopic and scotopic vision. Mesopic range is 0.01 to 3 candela per meter square. Mostly nighttime outdoor and traffic light scenarios are in the mesopic range. In the right side, we can see a graph where x-axis is wavelength and y-axis is for luminous efficacy. And the ranges of photopic, scotopic and mesopic visions are present here. Another interesting topic is brightness and contrast. I think all of you are in television changes some settings by using the remote control. That is, sometimes we can change the brightness or sometimes we can change the contrast. And also for changing the brightness and contrast, we can see the particular any image or particular any movie or anything clearly for visibility, for visible clearly. So what is brightness? Brightness refers to the overall lightness or darkness of the image. Increasing the brightness, every pixel in the frame gets lighter. So there is a figure in the right side where left side and the figure has some example of brightness and contrast. In the left side, we can see that in the number 1 box, brightness is normal. After that, the brightness is continuously higher. And the right side picture, contrast is uh, contrast is increasing more and more. So first of all, brightness. So number 1 box, normal brightness. After that, the brightness is higher. That means the picture is also some lighter than the first one. And third picture is also more brighter than the second one. Next, the contrast. Contrast is the difference in brightness between objects in the image. Increasing the contrast makes light areas lighter and dark area in the frame becomes much darker. In the right side images, you can see that the dark portion of the image is more darker and the light portion of the images are more lighter. And contrast means it is the difference between the maximum and minimum pixel intensity of any image. Basically, any image consists of some pixels and each pixel has some value. So if we give the value of any picture as 0, then the picture is appeared as black. But gradually, if we increase the value of the pixel like 50 after that 100, then we can get the intensity of the pixel is higher. So according to the definition of contrast, the difference between the maximum and minimum pixel intensity of any image, if the highest or maximum pixel intensity is 100 in any image and the minimum pixel intensity is 50, then the contrast of that image will be 100 minus 50 equal to 50. Now, contrast rendering factor. This is also called as CRF. This is very important. CRF is the ratio, so it doesn't have any unit. It is the ratio of the contrast of a task under the lighting system considered to the contrast of the same task under reference lighting. In the right side we see an image where in the C means the expression, there is an expression of the relationship between contrast C for a standard visual task, and in a given lighting situation, and contrast CS for same visual task under reference lighting condition, that is CS under reference lighting condition. And CRF is denoted as C by CS. Okay, so these are the some reference books you can see. Okay, so today's topics are covered and lecture 1 is completed. Thank you.